Pythagoras' theorem. Pythagoras' theorem says that for any right triangle, the square of the hypotenuse, or h, is equal to the sum of the squares of the other two sides. This is written as h squared equals a squared plus b squared. Pythagoras' theorem has many practical uses. One reason for this is that gravity acts straight down, or vertically, while we like things to move horizontally. In reality, most things move at an angle. This makes a right triangle.
Hold it. Before we move on, we need to make sure we can use a calculator to calculate squares and square roots.
Most calculators have these functions. To square a number, you can usually use this sequence of keys. There may be a square key. It could look like this. If you don't have a calculator, you can use the one on your computer. Apple operating system and Windows both have calculators. Find your calculator and try out some squares, for example, 4 squared.
We will use a Windows calculator because this lesson was made on a laptop using Windows.
The computer calculators usually have two modes or views: standard mode, and from the view menu, scientific mode. Scientific mode has a square key labelled x to the power of 2.
Try squaring some numbers using the square key.
Standard mode has a square root key. Square root keys usually look like this. In scientific mode, to get the square root, you check the inverse box, then click the square key. Exercise 1. Ted walks to work along two main roads as shown on the map. When he's in a hurry, he cuts across the park. How much distance is saved when he takes the shortcut? Here we simply want to know the hypotenuse. h squared equals a squared plus b squared equals 60 squared plus 100 squared equals 3,600 plus 10,000 equals 13,600. So h equals the square root of 13,600, or 116.6 metres. He would have walked 160 metres. The shortcut saved 43.4 metres. Exercise 2. Stephen wants to make a tent that will stand 2 metres high and be 1.6 metres wide. How long must the material be? The front of the tent is not a right triangle, but it can be divided into two equal right triangles. We notice that it is helpful to draw a diagram. The material needs to be twice the length of the hypotenuse. Our right triangle has the height A of 2 metres. The side B is half the width of the tent, or 0.8 metres. h squared equals a squared plus b squared equals 2 squared plus 0.8 squared equals 4 plus 0.64 equals 4.64. So h equals the square root of 4.64 equals 2.154 metres. So the total length of the material must be twice 2.154 equals 4.308 metres. Exercise 3. According to aerial photographs, the top of Ned's Hill is exactly 1.2 kilometres from the post office. Laser readings, however, show that they are exactly 1.3 kilometres apart. This is not an error, but because of the height of the hill. How high is Ned's Hill compared with the post office? Always start with a sketch of the problem. The post office and the hill are 1.2 kilometres apart horizontally. The height of the hill is vertical. This makes our right triangle. The actual distance between the two is the hypotenuse. We already know the hypotenuse. We want to know the length of side A. H squared equals A squared plus B squared, so 1.3 squared equals A squared plus 1.2 squared. Since we want to know A squared, subtract 1.2 squared from both sides. A squared equals 1.3 squared minus 1.2 squared, so A squared equals 1.69 minus 1.44. A squared equals 0.25. A equals the square root of 0.25 equals 0.5 kilometres, or 500 metres. Exercise 4. Jim uses a 3-metre plank as a ramp to the back of his truck. The height of the platform is 1 metre. How far from the back of the truck will the ramp extend? We already know the hypotenuse. We want to know the length of side B. H squared equals A squared plus B squared. So 3 squared equals 1 squared plus B squared. Subtract 1 squared from both sides, because we want B squared by itself. B squared equals 3 squared minus 1 squared, so B squared equals 9 minus 1, or B squared equals 8. That means B equals the square root of 8, which is 2.8 metres approximately.